Why is it that when someone casually asks about your childhood, it's not that you have no stories, yet those years feel compressed, blurred, as if you started managing life far earlier instead of simply being a child? Why have you always been described as mature, dependable, composed, the one who can handle pressure, the one who senses others' emotions quickly, yet deep down, you never quite learned how to relax, lean on someone, or feel safe being taken care of? And why is it that when others talk about carefree childhood moments, recklessness, ease, lightness, you don't necessarily feel jealous, just slightly disconnected, as if your path into adulthood skipped an important transitional space? If any of this feels familiar, then today isn't about extreme trauma or dramatic cinematic life events. What we're exploring instead is a quieter psychological pattern with surprisingly long-lasting impact. What happens when a child learns to take care of the world before the world ever learned to take care of them? And perhaps more importantly, did you simply grow up faster? Or did a part of your childhood quietly get set aside much earlier than it should have? You may not have had a visibly difficult childhood, no dramatic trauma, no obvious crisis. Yet, when conversations turn to childhood memories, you sometimes pause, not because nothing happened, but because something essential feels missing. Perhaps you started taking care of others early, checking on younger siblings after school, mediating tension when your parents argued, reading the emotional atmosphere at the dinner table before deciding whether to stay quiet or lighten the mood. Psychology refers to this pattern as parentification, when children take on emotional or practical roles normally carried by adults. Childhood, in these cases, is rarely taken away all at once. It's gradually shortened. Research shows that these children often appear unusually mature. Teachers see reliability, friends see emotional intelligence. Later, co-workers trust them with complex responsibilities. But this maturity isn't always accelerated development. Often it reflects a nervous system that learned responsibility earlier than expected. You begin prioritizing stability, reading environments, managing situations, sometimes before understanding your own needs. And sometimes the real end of childhood isn't tied to age at all. It's the moment you realize, if I don't hold things together, maybe no one will. And that belief can quietly stay with you for years. As you grew older, people probably kept describing you the same way: mature, reliable, steady. At work, you're often the one who can handle pressure. In relationships, you're usually the calmer voice, the problem solver, the emotional stabilizer. But psychology suggests something important. Not all maturity grows from freedom. Some of it grows from adaptation. When a child repeatedly experiences instability, emotional tension, unpredictability, or environments where others depend on them, the nervous system learns vigilance as a baseline. Preparation becomes safety, so you plan ahead. You anticipate problems, you rehearse conversations in your head, you double-check details others might overlook. These abilities can absolutely be strengths. They often lead to competence, trust, even success. But the cost tends to stay invisible. Relaxation may feel unfamiliar. Rest can carry subtle guilt. Receiving care sometimes feels uncomfortable, as if letting go might invite risk, because in your earlier experience, staying alert helped maintain stability. Being easy to handle kept things smoother. Understanding this doesn't invalidate your strengths. It simply helps you distinguish which parts of your maturity are conscious choices today and which parts are automatic patterns your nervous system learned long ago. And that distinction is often the first step toward genuine psychological freedom. If you learned early to care for others, being needed may gradually have become your main definition of love. As a child, attention may have arrived when you helped, adapted, solved problems, or kept emotional peace. Over time, the brain links the two. Contribution equals safety. Usefulness equals belonging. So, as an adult, you may naturally gravitate toward people who need support, understanding, or emotional stability. At work, you might become the emotional buffer of the team. In relationships, you may often take the role of mediator, fixer, or stabilizer. This isn't necessarily a rescuer complex. More often, it's familiarity. Attachment psychology shows that early relational patterns shape what later feels emotionally safe. If love once arrived alongside responsibility, similar dynamics can feel reassuring, even when they're exhausting, and exhaustion often follows. When you consistently give support without equal emotional reciprocity, fatigue accumulates quietly. You may even begin wondering, are they loving me or simply relying on me? Ironically, stable, balanced relationships can sometimes feel unfamiliar at first. Without constant emotional demand, without someone needing repair, a subtle emptiness can appear. Recognizing this pattern isn't about blaming your past. It's about refining your definition of love. Being needed can be part of intimacy, but being valued should never depend solely on how useful you are. If you grew up carrying responsibility early, there's a good chance life has stayed in a kind of constant motion. Even when things are calm, your system rarely fully relaxes. Not because there's always a crisis, but because your nervous system learned long ago that preparedness equals safety. Psychology often describes this as long-term hypervigilant adaptation. When childhood environments feel uncertain, the brain develops control strategies. Plan ahead, anticipate outcomes, stay ready. Over time, responsibility stops feeling optional. It becomes automatic, almost like software running quietly in the background. Think a little further ahead. Take on a little more. Prevent problems before they happen. Externally, this looks admirable. You're dependable, efficient, capable under pressure. But the cost is rarely discussed. Sustained overfunctioning keeps the body in a mild stress state. Many people describe the fatigue this way. Not exactly sleepiness, more like a deep, persistent tiredness that rest alone doesn't fully repair. Relationships can be affected too. You may find it easier to support others than to let others support you. And when someone genuinely tries to help, you might feel oddly uneasy, as if relinquishing control carries risk. But maturity doesn't mean never needing anyone. Sometimes true security comes from knowing you can pause, and the world won't collapse. When responsibility no longer has to stay permanently switched on, life slowly regains a sense of breath. By now, you might be seeing your early maturity from a slightly different angle. It may not have been personality. It may not mean you were simply stronger. Often, the environment needed stability, and you stepped in earlier than most. That was adaptation. In many ways, it was an extraordinary survival skill. But here's the difficulty. Even after circumstances change, the old operating system often keeps running. You may still take on extra responsibility, still minimize your own needs, still stabilize the emotional climate before checking how you actually feel, and gradually, being cared for can start to feel unfamiliar, sometimes even uncomfortable. Psychology suggests that true maturity isn't complete self-sufficiency, it's flexibility, the ability to carry responsibility and to receive support when needed. Allowing others to help you doesn't weaken you. Often, it signals that safety is finally returning. You no longer have to hold the entire world alone. You don't have to stay alert, perfect, or endlessly reliable. That child who grew up too soon already did more than enough. Now, slowly they can begin to rest. They can relearn dependence, relearn how to express needs, relearn how to share emotional weight a little at a time. Maturity has never meant losing softness completely. Sometimes it means keeping your strength, while allowing gentleness to return. This is happy psychology. May understanding bring healing, and healing creates space for growth. See you next time.